All right. Now that I've run you through all of the, well, not all of the system families, but a majority of the main system families, it's time to talk about the loadable families or the component families. So these operate inside the project similar to the system families. When you click, well, let's place one first, and then I'll talk about how it operates and where to get more and what to do. So if you remember, we've got this overhang off the back, and it needs some columns. So you could try to draw short walls here, and it would probably work. But there's an actual component called a column. And a column is a loadable family, meaning you can model any sort of column you want, and then you can load it into the project as a component family. Let's see what we have already in here. So if you go to a structural column, let's go to an architectural column actually. So you go up to the architectural ribbon, under the column command, click the arrow, and we'll do architectural column. So, this looks like a crazy big column. We probably don't need that. Let's see what else they have loaded in here. 18 by 18. These are really big columns. So actually this is a good opportunity to show you. So let's keep that architectural column. Let's pick an 18 by 18, which is insanely huge. Let's just click the center to place it. Click on the center of this column to place it, and then let's look at it in 3D, see what we've done here. Okay, so we placed these columns, and maybe that's what you want, maybe that's fine. But it seems a little large. We probably, based on what I'm seeing on the floor plan, they're probably just using dimensional lumber, like a 6x6, right? So let's see what we can do. So like I said, this is a component family, which means it was already made and it was loaded in. And so the things that you can change about this column depend completely on whoever made this family before it was loaded in. So if I click on the family, the column family, you look over here at its properties, and it's like the system families. You can edit its type. You can do this drop-down menu, and you can change it into something else. If we want to make it that column, we can, right? You can change its type. And then under type, or you can change the family. This drop-down is to change between families. So the metal-clad column is one family, and the rectangle column is another family. But underneath the name of the family, you can see the different types. Okay, so the metal clad comes in two types. There's an 18-inch type, and there's a 24-inch type. And this rectangular comes in three different types, an 18 by 18, 18 by 24, and 24 by 24. So if you want, you can click on this, and you can edit the type. We could maybe we can create another type that's only 8 inches by 8 inches. The way you do that is the same way you do with the roofs and everything. You just hit the type button. But unlike the system families, the structure inside this dialog depends completely on whoever made the family. So not all of them will look the same. But typically, you'll have at least an option to pick the material. So we could pick, before we do that, you do the same thing as you do any other, and you duplicate it. So let's say we're going to try to make an 8 by 8 column. We'll do 8 inches by 8 inches, and that'll be the name of the type. So it'll be a rectangular column, an 8 by 8 type. So let's give it that lumber material. Okay, and then under dimensions, whoever made this family gave us the ability to change the depth and the width. So let's give that a shot. 8 inches by 8 inches. And then click OK. And looky there. So if we didn't have a good family, meaning someone didn't load in a good family, you wouldn't be able to change the width like that. You wouldn't have been able to make those modifications. You only have the settings that the maker of the family allowed you to have. So this is why loadable families, you can get good ones, you can get bad ones. And it's important where you get them. And you'll find that loadable families really change your experience in Revit. You need good families in order to do a good job in Revit. Or you need to learn how to make families for yourself. So let's change this one back to match the other one. All right, so the length and the width was something that we changed with the type parameters. Sometimes families, in addition to having type parameters that changes the type of the family, there's what's called instance parameters. So if you remember from my slides, I told you in the hierarchy of things, after type, there's instance. So every time you place a family, that's an instance. So here's one instance of this type of family, and here's another instance of this type of family. So there's two instances. And there's sometimes what's called instance parameters, meaning you can change just one. So these are the features that you can change, and it will only change on one instance. Because right now, if I change something in the type dialog box, it's going to change all of them that are the same type. So when you go into this edit type dialog box, all of these settings are these parameters, these attributes, they're called type parameters. Because when you change them here, it will change all of the 8x8 columns to match whatever you change here. But if you highlight it and you look over here, these are the instance parameters, and changing this will only change one of them. So it was the same with the walls. Do you see how these two walls are the same family and they're the same type in that family? So, but you can see the instance parameters are over here. They're what you've been using this whole time to control the bottom offset and the bottom constraint, the top constraint. All that is specific to each instance of the wall, because you don't want to move the top of this wall and have all of the walls of that type move. That wouldn't make any sense. So those are instance parameters. It's the same thing with these columns. So this column will let you set the base level, and it'll even let you, let you set the roof level or the top level separately from this column. Because imagine if you had other columns on the front porch, you'd want those to behave differently as far as height than the back columns. So this is also controlled by whoever made this family. They have to think through, okay, what do we want to let the user change for the type of family, and what things do we want them to let them change for each instance of the family? So let's probably keep this at the roof level, but I think we can attach the columns. So if you click these two columns, they are similar to walls, so that you can hit the attach button up here on the modify tab, and we can attach them to the roof, and they'll go up to the roof. It's just, they are a little funny how they join. That's probably as good as you're going to get as far as a joint. The only way to make it look better is to manually set the top level and push it up into the roof so that it's hidden inside the roof. If you were working for me and we were putting out drawings, I would make you fix this and we would figure out a solution. For the purposes of this class, this is good enough. Unless you want to fiddle with it more. You could spend 30 minutes just trying to figure this out. So if you want to do that, I invite you to do that. If not, that's okay. All right, so that's kind of one example of a component family that you load into the project. Another would be the doors or the windows. So you've already used those, and let's just place a door again. So we're going to go to the door command. And these are the families that are the door families that are already loaded in. So remember, the category is doors, and then these are the next hierarchy down. These are the families that are available to you. And then underneath each family, so see there's this family, 1, 2, 3, 4 families. And then each family has different types. So those are the different sizes. So this family has, glass in the door. And then all the different types are the different sizes. This is a double door, and then these are the different sizes. And you only have what was loaded into the template. So Slick has bought for you, they've done student academic licenses that you're allowed to use some professional families that I built in your exercises here at Slick. So I'm going to show you how to load those because those families are a lot better than these ones, and you get a lot more choices. Because right now, if you're trying to pick a front door, like which one of these is really saying front door to you? None of them are really great for a front door. But for now, we'll pick this single flush door, 36 by 84, and we're just going to put it as the front door. And I'm going to hit the space bar to flip it. So we put that in, and if you click on it, we can go and edit the type parameters, and you can just see what things you're allowed to change. So you can change the width, the height, and even the thickness of the door. And there's a strike height and a mason. There's a couple other little things you can change. And then if you keep it highlighted, you can see what instance parameters. So like this particular door is kind of nice. It'll let you change the swing angle. So instead of 90 degrees, like it's showing now, we could change this to any angle like 45. And it'll display it differently in the plan view. So we'll put that in, and I just want you to see that as an example. Let's look at the window. So there's 1, 2, 3 different types of windows you can have here. There's a casement window, which it looks like a double casement. Yeah, a double casement window. Casement window, just so you know, they're the windows that swing open. So there's usually a little handle that you spin and it cranks the window open. Those are casement. There's a double hung window. Those are the windows where they slide up or down. And then there's vertical sliders, left or right, but it doesn't look like they have one. Or there's fixed windows where it's just a pane of glass. So let's just pick one of those. Those are the different family options we have. And we'll just put one in the front. So if you look at the south elevation, you can see like that window isn't near big enough. So how would we get it bigger? Well, maybe in the type parameters, you can see there's a width and height. So we could edit this window to be big enough for the front, but then it doesn't have the mullions in it or the muntins in it to make it look designy. So let's see. There's this double hung window, and it doesn't have them either. Let's see, let's go back to our big picture window. And yeah, it doesn't give you muntins. Let's see if it does let you pick. So, okay, so under the type parameters, you can come in here and you can see there's a muntin type. It says 2x2 pattern. Click OK. Oh, let's change it to fine. And now you can see that's in there. But when we make the window that big, we're still not able to control the grid pattern. So if we're trying to get a specific grid, this family isn't going to be good enough. It's not going to be good enough to get us there. There's not enough settings for us. We can get it the right size, but we're not going to get it to look right. And that's why you typically eventually want to learn to build your own families, is because you're going to want your house or your interiors to have things that look a certain way. And unless you find someone who can build you really good families, or you can build them yourself, it's going to be difficult to get what you want. All right, so those are a couple examples of loadable families and how you can change them. So how do you get new families? Let's talk about that. So the first option is the default option. So Revit, if you go to the Insert tab, you have two options to bring in families. You can load a family. There's one command. And what this does is you click it and you have to have the file already on your computer. And if you remember when we talked about file types, a family is a .rfa file. So you'd have to have a .rfa file already downloaded on your computer from somewhere, or one that you've built yourself and saved. Then you could load it in. So the load family command is only good if you've gone somewhere and either bought a family, downloaded a free one, or built one yourself. If you would like to use one that Autodesk, just so you know, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but Autodesk is the company that owns Revit and makes Revit. They have their own library, and it's not a great library. The doors and windows that are in here now are from the library, the Autodesk library. So let's click on it, and it opens this dialog box, and I think you need an internet connection because it tries to connect to their server. And then you can pick the category. So like doors, we could see what other doors they have. Like this looks like an exterior door, so maybe that would be better. So we could load that one in, and then you can see there's different panel types for like the interior doors. So you could grab one of these. We'll probably, if you were doing a garage, you would need a garage door. So you can come get your doors from there, or like if we wanted something else. Let's see furniture, what they have. While we're here, let's load. We're definitely going to need a bed. So let's click a bed. Actually, let's do a shaker bed. Maybe a chair. But you see how they're not like great looking? We'll do a couch. And then like an end chair. We can do a piano. Maybe you want a TV. I don't know. Oh, and then we want a dining table for sure. That says it's a conference table. I don't know that it really matters. Let's do a rectangular table. Oh, let's do a plasma TV rather than this other one that we got. All right. So you'll click load, and it's going to take these off of the internet, and they'll bring them down into your project. So now they're in the project, but now how do you place them in your model? So now you go to the architectural tab, and there's a command called component. And if you click that button, it will automatically choose the component that you loaded most recently. So the last thing we loaded was the plasma TV. And so you can place that by clicking it. Or before you click, if you go over here, we can find the other families that we loaded. So what else did we do? Did we do a table? So you can type in table and it'll search. Okay, so here's the table family, and here's the types of table. So let's do a 6 foot by 2.5 foot table, and then you can place it, right? And you can do this in floor plan. So if we wanted to put a dining table right here where they show it, we can put the table in. And then if we move our section out even more, we can click and we can see the table sitting right there in the house. And then, so I'm going to delete our section. Let's put in the seats. So we're going to do the component command, and we're going to do chair, see what we got. Okay, so let's pick this chair. Oh, this is huge compared to the ones in the background, but okay, so let's do those. Then we can do component again, and we could pick couch. There's the couch. And while you're placing, here's a tip. If you hit the space bar, it'll rotate it for you. But you're always free to come back and click on the component, and you can still use the rotate command. You can use the mirror command. So if we wanted to rotate these chairs, you can use the rotate tool, and you could move them 20 degrees or whatever. And then I'll delete this one. So if we wanted this one, if you wanted one in the same spot but mirrored, you could click the chair and then you can hit mirror, and then you just pick an axis and it'll mirror it. Oh, but it didn't copy it. So here's the other thing. I'm going to use my arrow keys to nudge it where I want it. And then let's use the mirror command again, but there's this little button here you can say copy. So it'll mirror it and copy it. So now we've got our living room. And that's how you would go about doing all the rest of the stuff in here. Most of the stuff, the cabinets, the tub, the toilet, like the washer and dryer, the fridge, the beds, all of that, it either has to be loaded into your template already, or you have to go find it and load it in. So you can do it through the Insert tab, and you can look at the Autodesk library, like I just said, and you can search too, like if we need a bathtub, you can hit enter and search. What if we just put tub? Wow, I can't believe they don't have a tub. Is that a joke? Oh, maybe it's because it was only searching furniture. Let's try that again. Oh yeah, there we go. So you could bring in the tub. So you can use Autodesk's library, or you can use, if you remember, if you go to the overview module the overview section of modules 1, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's all that list of resources where you can get more families. Revit City is another good one you could go to. I think I showed that to you in the lecture. Okay, so let's load the families that Slick bought for you, or let's show you how you get access to those families. So what we're going to do is go back to the module for our so module 4 and the exercise that you've been working on. And if you go to this spot right here, it says you can find the families that Slick has purchased for your academic use here. So you click that button and it'll take you to a Google Drive folder. And here you can download whatever families you want. So there's cabinets, and I would highly recommend the cabinets. There's exterior doors, interior doors, and windows. So if you just look in here, let's look at cabinets, for example. So there's different types of cabinets. You can do craftsman style, modern style, or traditional. And I encourage you, if you'd like to know more about using these families, you can go to the revitfamily.biz website. This is also in your module. You can see right here. You can click here and there are tutorial videos. Here, I'll click there for you. So if you go here, there's cabinet tutorials, window tutorials, and those could help you if you want to learn more about it. But you can pick your style. So actually, let's go to the website. And if we go to cabinets. So Slick purchased, they bought the Craftsman Modern and Traditional. So if you look in here, here's the overlay. So this will show the 3 styles. Let's look. So when you're trying to design your interiors, you have a couple style choices you can pick from. So this is Craftsman. So they're kind of shaker style doors. Or you can do, let's see if we've got, let's show you the modern. So shaker has that border around the middle with an inset panel. Let me show you. So that's shaker style. Let me show you the modern style or traditional. Modern looks more like this with, it doesn't have a border. It's just a flat panel on the front. They call that a slab front. Or there's the traditional style where it's more, it's got the decorative inlaid panel, and it's got like a cutout, and then it's a raised panel in the middle. So that's a more traditional looking cabinet. So you have access to all of those different styles. So if you click on the style you want, you can then download all these different families. So there's a corner cabinet, there's a base cabinet with a sink, there's a cabinet that's all drawers, there's a tall cabinet, there's a cabinet with an oven in it, there's a cabinet with a microwave, like all the stuff you could want when you're laying out a kitchen, you can come put in here. There's the wall cabinets that you put above the base cabinets. So you'll want to come in and get those. So I'm going to grab, I feel like our house wants to have Craftsman style. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to hit the download button. And it's going to take a minute because it's going to zip the folder. Once the folder's zipped, it will download. So it's going to take a minute. So I'm going to let that download while we continue to talk about the other families. So there's also exterior doors and interior doors. So this is where you'd find your front door if you'd like it. And again, you can pick what style. So let's do Craftsman. And let's download all of the front doors. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to again click download. And then interior doors, I probably want them to be Craftsman as well. So we'll download the interior Craftsman doors. And then the windows, same thing. We're going to do, so the naming might be hard for you. So a prairie style window looks like this. And then the muntins look like this. They do this like border and then a square in the corner. That's prairie style. Craftsman style muntins look like this. So there's these little muntins in the top. So that's what Craftsman would look like. And then colonial is it's what you traditionally see. It's just like the even grid. So I know on the outside of this house, we're showing colonial windows. So let's open that up. Let's download the colonial windows for this project. All right, so we'll let those download for a second. And I'm going to go back to my desktop. Okay, so on my desktop where I downloaded these, you'll see there's a bunch of zip files. So I'm just going to right click on it and extract everything. And it'll make a new folder right on my desktop. Now you're free to save these wherever you want. It doesn't matter where you put these families, just as long as you remember where you put them and can navigate to them. So I'm going to leave these on my desktop after I unzip them. I'm going to continue to extract these. Okay, once I extract them, I delete the zip files so that I don't get them confused. And now we can go back into Revit. And we go to the load family command. So instead of load Autodesk family, we'll pick the load command. And now I'm just going to go to my desktop and I'm going to bring in, let's do the cabinets first. Oh, those weren't the cabinets. Let's see. Right here. So here's all the cabinets. And you probably don't want to bring them all in at once. You'll probably just want to get them as you need them. But if you click on them in here, you can see what they look like. So I'm just going to do, for an example, we'll do a bathroom vanity. So we're going to go to a base with a sink. And that's what we're going to bring in. So we'll click open. And it's going to bring up what's called a type catalog. So it's going to say, okay, you picked the family, but what types of that family do you want to bring in? Do you want to bring them all in? Which you can do. You can click and drag and click OK, and it'll bring everything in. Or we can just pick the ones we want. So we're looking for a bathroom with let's do a square sink. And a bathroom is usually 30 inches tall, but if you want it to be comfort height, you'll do it 36 inches high. So we're going to pick 36 inches high, 21 inches deep, and we'll just bring in that one cabinet. So it's going to it's going to convert these because they were made in an older version of Revit. So it'll convert it and then it will put it in your model. So now we can go to the architectural tab and we can go to place component, and it will automatically, it should already bring in the sink for you. So let's put it in this bathroom. I'm going to tab to turn it, and then I'm just going to place it right up against the wall. And then we can click on it, and you'll notice if you look over at its instance parameters, you can change the material, a lot of materials. You can change the cabinet material, the inlay material on the front panel, the faucet material, the hardware material, like the poles on the cabinet, you can change. You can change the sink material. And then there's a bunch of other settings. You can experiment with them, but one of the settings that you're really going to care about is the width of the sink. So I'm going to, right now it's 3 feet, but you can change it to 3.5 if you want. But then you need to come back and you need to recenter it and put it back on the wall here. The other thing you can do is you can also drag it to the length that you want it, but that's less precise than putting in exactly 3 feet, and then it'll make it exactly 3 feet for you. So that's how you would use that cabinet. And you'll notice if you come over here to look at the types, because you only chose to load one type, that's your only option. So if you want to load it again, because maybe you wanted a round sink instead, let's go back to load family. Let's find that sink. Click open. And this time, maybe you also want the round option, 36 by 21. And maybe you also want a kitchen. So 36 by 24. Let's do, but you don't want the small one. Let's do that one. And then if you control click, you can select what you want. So we want a double sink, 36 high by 24 deep. So again, it'll convert those and bring them in. And remember, that's the family we already loaded. We just didn't load all the types we needed. So we're loading more types. So now if you take this cabinet and you copy it from there, let's put it here where the sink's going to be, and then let's do one in this bathroom. So now if you rotate this 90 degrees, and it's still showing a vanity, so a bathroom. Let's change this. Now if we click over here, you can see there's the kitchen option here. So let's change that to the kitchen, and now it updates to the kitchen cabinet. So let's move this back to the wall and put it in place. And then let's rotate this one 180 degrees. And let's change this. Let's say we want this one to be round. Well, we already loaded the round one, so we just have to change its type to the round one. And it looks like 3 feet's too wide, so let's do 2.5 feet wide. And then we can move this one into the corner. And then if we want another one, we can copy it down here. All right, so now you might be wanting to look at everything in 3D. So a handy trick that you should know is you can always select something that you're looking at. And once you've selected it, if you come up here, there's this cool little command on the Modify tab under View. It says Selection Box. If you click that button, it will automatically take you to your 3D view, and it will crop the view down so that you're looking at what you just placed in the model. So now you can see what it looks like. And remember, click on what you're looking at so that it recenters your orbit, and then you can orbit around it and see it pretty well. You can also click on the crop box, and you can extend it out if you want to see more of the house in context. So that's a very useful tool. And then when you're done, you can deselect everything and then come over here and just uncheck the section box, and it'll take you back to your normal 3D view. So let's delete those. So now let's look at this bathroom that we did. If you go up here, hit the section box. Hey, look at that. There's our bathroom cabinet. And if you had your toilet and your bathtub in here, it would be showing you all of that as well. So you can see we're missing a countertop, and we'll get to that. You can actually load the countertop, I believe. Oh, maybe there isn't a countertop. Actually, we don't have a countertop. So I'm going to teach you that in one of the later videos to do an in-place family, and we'll do a countertop for that. All right, so now let's maybe load. Let's go back and let's load a front door. Well, let's load our windows, actually. Let's do a picture window. So you have all these different types: awning, double casement, casement, double hung, arch, ellipsed, round, fixed. We're just going to do a regular fixed window. And there are a lot of types of windows because there's so many sizes. So you can see, and I don't know if you're familiar with how windows are labeled in the real world. So when you look at a window label in a floor plan, it usually looks like this. So that's a 1640 window. So 1640, this is the feet and this is the inches. So feet, inches, and then this is the width and this is the height. So this is a 1 foot, 6 inch wide window by 4 feet, 0 inches tall. So that's what these mean here, but you can also read the width and the height to help you. So I don't know what one we need for that front window. It's really big. So let's just pick the biggest one in here and click OK. And then let's go up to architecture. We'll click the window button and we'll place this window. And then let's delete the one we put before. Let's just center it the best we can. Actually, this is a good opportunity to use the align command. So if you go to modify, align, you can pick this and then you can pick the center of the window. Okay, so we're in our 3D view and we need to uncrop it. Oh, so that's looking pretty good. Let's look at, the south elevation. So this window, let's take a guess. Let's use the measure tool. So it looks like it's about 6.5, let's say 6.5 wide by 6.5 tall. And it looks like it's only 2 feet off the ground, or maybe 1. So it's 1.5 feet off the ground. So 6 feet wide, 6 feet tall, 1 foot off the ground. So with windows, if you click in the window, there is something called the sill height. So let's move that to 1.5 feet off the ground. So now it's the right height off the ground, the sill is, but the window itself still isn't the right size. So let's click in there and we'll edit its type and we'll duplicate it. And you can follow the same naming or you can just label it whatever you want. Let's do big front window and click OK. And then if you go down to dimensions, you can see the width is 5 feet. So let's change it to 6. And its height is already 6 feet. So let's see what that does. So that makes it wide enough. I'm wondering, that says it's 9 feet. Wonder if I got this wrong. Oh, 7.5 feet was the height we were supposed to use. So let's go back and change that to 7 feet high and click OK. It could still be a little taller, honestly. We could do 8 feet tall. Well, let's do 7.5. Oh, that's what we were supposed to do. Sorry, I read a dimension and then I don't follow through. Okay. And then I think it was supposed to be 6.5 wide, not 6. There we go. So there's our front window. And now if you look, these are different. This is a different window family, so you probably have different options here. So you can control the interior and the exterior trim dimensions if you'd like by changing these. So right now, let's see. Can you? Yeah, right here under dimensions. Trim width exterior. So right now it's 5 inches. Maybe we want it to be 3 inches. Maybe you don't want it to be so wide. So you can change that and hit apply, and it should shrink the exterior trim. Do you see how it did that? Let's see if we can change the grid. I think the grid is calculated automatically. So that's true. The only thing you can do is shut off the grid. So there you go. Let's turn the grid back on because I think we like it. And with that selected, let's do the section command so we can see what it looks like on the inside. So you can see the inside has its own trim. I'm going to hide this couch temporarily. So you can see if you want to change the trim on the inside, you can go into the type parameters. Down at the bottom, it says interior trim style. Instead of colonial, you could pick flutes and rosettes if you want. And you can change it to different styles. So I'm not going to keep going into all of that. You can look up the videos if you'd like to see more, but this should get you enough that you can place your doors and windows. Another thing you might want to do is let's load some interior doors. Oops, come on. There's all sorts of doors: pocket doors, sliding doors, swinging doors, barn doors, bifolds, things that don't necessarily the Revit library doesn't have, or the Autodesk library doesn't have. Let's do an opening because let's do 36 by 84 to start with. So we'll load that in because if you notice on our floor plan, there's an opening in the wall, and then there's the front door. So let's put the opening in first. So let's go to the door command, and we just loaded in the opening. So you can see it here. So let's place that. It actually looks like the opening is bigger. So let's go edit the type, and we'll duplicate it, and we'll just say front opening. And we'll do a 4-foot width. There we go, that matches better. And if we look at it in 3D, it looks like it put trim, but maybe we don't want trim. So do you see here where it says show the trim, side 1 and side 2? Let's just shut the trim off. And then it's just an opening through the wall, and then you can see the front door. So now let's load the front door that we downloaded. So we'll go to desktop, front doors, and let's do one with a transom over the top. So single, let's do one with a transom. Okay, so here we go. We're going to load this. And it's going to take a minute. And now, if we click on the front door, we can come up here and we can change it to the one we just loaded in that says front door craftsman. So let's pick that. And now you can see it's got like a transom up above it. And if we look in our south elevation, you can see our example project kind of did the same thing. So let's let's make the opening bigger because it's kind of in the way. Let's make it 8 feet tall. There you go. And then our front door, it looks like, let's see what dimension it is. It's 3 feet wide, 6 feet 8 tall. That's standard dimensions for a residential door. The transom is 1.5 feet tall. It looks a little too tall compared to our example, so let's just make the transom 1 foot tall and see what it does here. There we go. So now we got a front door that looks a little bit more like a front door. And then you can continue around putting in the doors and windows around the rest of the house using the families that you can either get offline for free or from the Autodesk library, or use the ones that Slick has purchased for you. But that's about it as far as component families.